What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Now today we're doing the Premier League Week 28 predictions and I'm super excited to do this one. I'm actually filming this after a few of the Week 27 results but before most of them because I won't have time to upload it with my internet speed if I don't do it ahead of time. So I do know the results of the West Ham Fulham game, Cardiff Watford game and the Burnley Tottenham game. So we'll go through those real quick and see how I did with those predictions compared to my Week 27. And then when I go through the Week 28 predictions, if the teams that I'm predicting haven't yet played for this week at the time of recording, I'll say just simply what I did for my previous prediction for them, and then you guys will know how that went, and we'll go from there. I want to give a massive shout out to, of course, Renson, it is Renson, for leaving his comment with his predictions on the last video. If you want to get featured in a future video, then you can leave your comment for what you think the results of these Week 28 games are going to be, and I'll pick one of you and feature you in the video. And of course I want to give a massive shout out to all of you for the support on the channel, the likes, the subs, the views, all that stuff. It's just really cool to see. So we'll start with the few Week 27 results that I do know, and the first one was kind of tilting to me because I was either going to put 2-0 or 3-1 as a prediction to West Ham, but the previous 2 weeks I put that Fulham would score a goal and lose, and they didn't score a goal and lost. So I said in that video, I said Fulham never score when I predict them to score, so I'm going to predict West Ham to win 2-0. Instead, West Ham won 3-1 because Fulham decided to finally show up and score when I said they wouldn't. So right result, just the incorrect scoreline. The next game was Cardiff versus Watford. Now, I do like to give Cardiff credit where credit is due, but I probably still overestimated them, and I do get some Cardiff fans in the comments, you know, saying that I always doubt Cardiff and stuff, but I just think Watford are a better team. I predicted that Watford would win 2-1, but Watford actually ended up winning 5-1, and so I've seen quite a few people say that, you know, Cardiff and Watford would be a draw, Cardiff would get a low-scoring win. I don't think Cardiff are good enough yet to have that much... You know what I'm saying? If they do stay up in the Premier League this year, it would be a massive achievement, but they are not really ready. I think they can do it, but I just don't necessarily think they're ready. The next game, Burnley versus Tottenham. Well. Harry Kane comes back, he scores a goal, and is on the losing team. I did see a tweet somewhere that someone said, basically, it seems that the Tottenham team feel like they don't have to work as hard when they have Harry Kane in the team, and that's quite possible. Very similar thing happened to me in my cricket team. We had like an overseas player come in, and he was a very good player, but we played better without him when he had to go, because we played better as a team then. I don't know, that could be something. Yes, Harry Kane scored, but ultimately he led them to a loss. You know, obviously I'm not saying it was his fault, but you get what I mean. So, surprise win. I think that's any chance Tottenham had of, you know, winning the Premier League this year out. Most people wrote them off anyway, myself included. I don't think they were going to win the league, but that is them well and truly gone. So now we'll move on to the Week 28 games, and I will reference my Week 27 predictions for the games that have not yet occurred. So kicking it off, we have Cardiff versus Everton. Cardiff once again at home, but I think after getting stomped 5-1 by Watford, their confidence will be a little bit lower, a bit of a reality check for them, and Everton need to get a result. They just need to. They've really been struggling. They've had the rest. They didn't play in Week 27 because they already played Manchester City previously, and I think it's about time Everton get the win. I recently predicted they would lose 1-0 to Everton. They did, and Cardiff obviously lost 5-1 to Everton, so if you use that as a little yardstick, if you will, Everton are, you know, they are the better side, whatever you want to say. So I am going to go with a 2-0 win to Everton here. I think Cardiff are going to struggle. Like I said, they can do it, and if results keep going the way they're going for Fulham are down, and maybe Southampton, maybe Newcastle will go down instead of Cardiff. But Cardiff do have a lot of work ahead if they are going to remain in the Premier League for the next season. So that is why I'm going for a 2-0 win to Everton. The next game is Huddersfield versus Wolves. Now, for the previous week, I predicted Huddersfield to lose 2-0 to Newcastle, and I predicted a 2-2 draw between Bournemouth and Wolves. So if I had to pick a winner, I'd probably go 2-1 or 3-2 to Wolves in that Bournemouth game. I'm going with a 3-0 win to Wolves here. I think Wolves are quite possibly my favourite team that's not Arsenal, basically. I support Arsenal, and I have done since I was 6 years old, but there was a long period in my life where I didn't really follow football that closely. It was kind of sort of the World Cup last year that really brought me back into football, hence why I actually made this channel. You know, but I'd always look at the Arsenal results, but I wouldn't really be that invested. I think if I had to support another club, I'd probably go for Wolves. I don't really know why. I just like them. They're entertaining, and yeah, they're fun to watch. So yeah, I do like Wolves. I think a lot of neutral fans like Wolves, and I just don't think Huddersfield are even going to score at home. I originally had a 3-1 prediction down, but I don't know where Huddersfield's goal is going to come from. Maybe it will be a 3-1 or something like that, but I think 3-0 to Wolves is going to be my personal prediction. The next game is Leicester versus Brighton. Now, Brighton obviously had a rest from week 27 because they don't need to play Chelsea. And Leicester, I predicted them to beat Crystal Palace 1-0, despite Palace's very good record against Leicester. And I think Leicester at home, they really need to start getting results. They're in a poor run of form. They're playing fairly well going forward, but their defence is just not great. Luckily for them, Brighton aren't the best travellers, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Leicester. Paul Puel's got his work cut out for him. He is under immense pressure. If he loses to Brighton and if he loses to Crystal Palace in week 27, then I don't think he'll be here next year. It's just not working out the way it should be. Leicester have got a decent squad. They're just not pulling out the results. So I'm bagging them to get a win here. I think they really, really need it. The next game is Newcastle versus Burnley. Obviously, I predicted Newcastle to beat Huddersfield 2-0, and Burnley managed to beat Tottenham 2-1. Burnley are in very decent form, and they do play much better at home, I would say. So I think this is going to be a tight affair. I think Newcastle have been kind of unlucky with their results at sometimes. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 in this one. Burnley are playing well, but Newcastle aren't playing too badly themselves. Obviously, I predicted them to beat Huddersfield, which I believe they will. And then they did beat, was it Manchester City that week? It wasn't that week they beat Manchester City. But Newcastle, for me, they've done enough to sort of stay in the league. They drew 1-1 with Wolves thanks to a late goal for Wolves. So I think Newcastle can at least hold Burnley to a draw here in this game, and I'm going to go with a 1-1. The next game is Arsenal versus Bournemouth. Now, this is a game I would love to see because obviously I live very close to Bournemouth. I've been to Bournemouth's ground more times than I've been to any other football ground, and obviously Arsenal's kind of like, it's my team. So that is a fixture I would like to see in the future. I did try and book it, but when they were over here in Bournemouth, but the tickets were sold out. So yeah, never mind about that one. But I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to Arsenal. Arsenal are much, much better at getting results at home. Bournemouth do like to push on the counter-attack, and I think they do have a goal in them, especially with Arsenal's reputation at the back lately. But I think Arsenal going forward at the Emirates are going to do enough to beat Bournemouth and just keep Bournemouth sort of in the middle of the table. They don't have to worry about relegation thanks to their flying start. But, I don't see much else happening for them this year because they have really dropped off in terms of form. Will Arsenal reach top 4? That is a good question. It looks like the favourite right now is definitely Man United with the form they're in. But if Man United don't beat Liverpool in week 27 and Arsenal beat Southampton, then they go into week 28 in the 4th spot. So it's all open. Chelsea are a bit all over the place at the moment, so you never know. It really is an open top 4 battle at this point. The next game is Southampton versus Fulham. Fulham, obviously, they got a very early goal against West Ham and then shipped 3 goals at their own end. It's typical Fulham. And Southampton, I predicted they would lose 3-2 to Arsenal, scoring those 2 goals but not able to get the win. I'm going to go with a 2-2, a Desmond between Southampton and Fulham here. I think Fulham, they're dreadful away. I think they've had 2 points all season. I think they're going to get their 3rd. I think they're finally going to be able to get something on the road. Southampton just maybe lacking a little bit at the back because Fulham do have good players, but it's starting to look like they might go down, which is absolutely crazy. So I am going to go with a 2-2 there, and it'll be interesting to see how that one turns out. The next game is Chelsea versus Tottenham Hotspur. This is going to be a really big game. Chelsea at home, obviously that does tend to give them the advantage, and Tottenham did just come off of a loss against Burnley 2-1. And Chelsea, I don't know how they got on against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final. I haven't made a video on it, but I'll just say right now, I reckon City are going to win 3-1. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw here. Tottenham's first draw of the season. I think it's going to have to come against a top 6 club because Tottenham either bottle it against teams like Burnley and lose, or they just win. That's what they've been doing. That's the story of their season. I think it's going to have to come against one of the top 6 clubs, or the top 5, I should say, other than them. And I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw here. And yeah, it should be an interesting game, but I think each team's going to be a little bit wary. Tottenham coming off that loss, and Chelsea just looking a little bit shaky in terms of form lately. The next game is Crystal Palace versus Manchester United, and Man United have been very good on the road. Crystal Palace not so good at home. I think Man United, although Palace are playing well, they've got themselves into the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, I believe. They are looking decent. I did have them just to miss out against Leicester in the previous week, and I had Man United just to miss out against Liverpool in the previous week, which that might not happen. Man United could easily get something out of that game. I'm going to go with a 2-1 away win to Manchester United in this game to beat Crystal Palace and take all the 3 points, trying to help them get into the top 4. The next game is Liverpool versus Watford. Obviously, Watford smashed Cardiff 5-1. Delafeu is playing extremely well. Whenever he starts, they just do well. Troy Deeney got himself a brace as well in that game. Liverpool, I predicted them to beat Manchester United 2-1, but they're not as flying forward as they were last season because obviously they've tightened things up at the back, and you've got to sacrifice you know, things here and there. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to Liverpool, though. It is at Anfield. Liverpool, they're so good at home. It is a fortress, and I think they are going to be strong enough to beat Watford. But although I've put 3-1, this is something, there could be a little shock draw in there. This could be a potential team, Watford I mean, that could beat Liverpool just on a day, randomly. Similar to how Burnley beat Tottenham in week 27, I could see it going the same way for Watford, but my prediction is going to be 3-1 for Liverpool. The final game of the week is Manchester City versus West Ham. Now, West Ham had a good win against Fulham, 3-1. Man City are completely a different class of team, and I'm going to go for a 4-1 win to Manchester City. I think by this point Man City would have won the Carabao Cup. I think it's looking good that they're going to win the FA Cup. They're looking decent in the Champions League, I guess you could say. They did have a blip against Schalke, but still managed to get the win, so they're going through to the quarterfinals. Could they get the quad? I don't know. I still think they're going to win the Premier League. I think there's a slip-up for Liverpool in there somewhere that City are just going to grab hold of and not let go. I've said from the beginning of the year that I think City are going to win, and I'm sticking to that. So I'm going to go with a 4-1 win to Manchester City. So that is going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like on it, subscribe today and hit the bell so you don't miss a single football upload. We've got so much coming. If I just look at my upload schedule right now, hopefully I can keep up with it for my internet. But we've got the Week 28 Premier League predictions, that's today. Week 29 Premier League predictions in just 3 days' time. Champions League Leg 2 for the round of 16 coming up. Premier League predictions, then the FA Cup quarter-final predictions. Europa League round of 16 in there somewhere as well. So it's all happening on the channel. A lot of football's going on. So definitely, like I said, hit the bell so you don't miss a single upload. And drop a comment to see if you can get featured in the next episode. But that's going to do it from me. And I'll see you in the next video very soon.